There were some major issues. One, of course, was leadership. One was the country's economic performance. One was to what extent Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau had delivered or had not delivered on his promises of uh, creating a just society in Canada with participatory democracy. Since he was in principle either opposed to or skeptical of referendums, in other words, direct votes on political issues, including legislation, by the eligible voters, it remained quite difficult to understand for even many political scientists what exactly he meant by participatory democracy. And besides his arrogant manners, for example, asking a voter in a political rally, well, why should I sell the Canadian farmers wheat? And to some extent, it was a part of his personality. To some extent, perhaps also because he was a highly educated person and somewhat of a cosmopolitan, having traveled in various countries. And then some critical biographies, such as Shrug, by a Canadian journalist who was disillusioned with Trudeau, and then Trudeau the Paradox, by another Canadian journalist, had caused the Trudeau mania to largely wear off, in addition to the fact that Canada's economy was slumping towards the 1972 federal parliamentary elections. So in that context, even the serious and sober and sluggish image of the progressive Conservative leader, Robert Stanfield, didn't prevent the Conservatives from making major gains, and indeed from almost equaling the Liberals' number of seats. With the result that the Social Democratic, New Democratic Party held the balance of power and decided to then support the Liberals until their budget of May 1974. In that vote, they then sided with the Progressive Conservatives, causing the Liberal government to lose the House of Commons' confidence, rather than asking the Governor General to hand over the government formation task to Robert Stanfield. Pierre Trudeau decided to call a snap federal election. But let's go to this election. It was held on October the 30th, 1972. The turnout was 76.7% of the vote. The Liberals only got 109 seats with about 38.4% of the vote, or 3,718,000. The Conservatives rose dramatically to 107 seats with about 3,389,000 votes, or about 35% of the total. The New Democrats also made significant gains in the terms of the seats, rising to 31. Their leader was then called David Lewis, and their percentage of the popular vote rose to 17.8%, or about 1,726,000 votes. The Quebec Créditiste under Réal Cahouette received 7.6% of the national vote, or about 731,000, and remained at 15 seats. Trudeau reassigned the Justice Minister, John Turner, who had persuaded the Canadian House of Commons to pass the War Measures Act during the October crisis of 1970, to become the federal finance minister, in which work he didn't last even full 3 years. Quebec made the difference, because in Quebec the Liberals were able to get 56 seats compared to the Conservatives' 2 seats, while in the rest of Canada the Liberals got only 53 seats, the Conservatives had twice more, or 105 seats.